So what's the PGI game plan for 2024? Hopefully some more victories in the belt. Who you guys going after? Anyone big? What's the game plan?
Yes, yes. So we're going to continue with those lawsuits, as I mentioned, but we have another huge challenge that we're taking on, and that's dealing with teachers who are in school districts who are lying to parents about their child who may have gender confusion. Maybe it could be a child in elementary school. Now, the studies show that if a child is just left alone in elementary school and not groomed, like the teachers unions and school districts want to do, to groom them to change their gender and to feed this confusion, if they're just left alone, the overwhelming majority of these kids, by the time they graduate from high school, will no longer even have this dysphoria, this desire to, quote, change their gender. But no, that's not what's happening. The school district, the teachers unions, and the majority of school districts across the country are pushing this. It's demonic. It's sick. And they're lying to parents. And kids are coming to school, and the teachers are changing the clothes of the child to be look like the opposite sex, to help them distort their sex, so their gender. So we at Pacific Justice, we are taking on these cases. We're getting more and more. They're coming in. We think we're going to have cases like this literally all over the United States. And we're committed to defending every single parent whose child has been victimized by public education, public teacher unions, and school districts that are victimizing these children to confuse them. I think people also need to understand what the results are. First, it's permanent sterilization. That's number one. Number two, depression does not decrease. If anything, it increases. Number three, suicide increases. In fact, so much that a child who is solidified into this confusion and to embody gender distortion will more likely than not they will not live to see their 30th birthday. That's the stats. A child has a better chance of seeing their 30th birthday if they have cancer as a child, like leukemia. They have a better chance of growing up past the age of 30 if they have leukemia than if they're solidified into this confusion. So now we see how illogical and inhumane and cruel this whole movement is of the radical LGBTQ to victimize these children.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of these leftists think that the argument against this stuff is strictly biblical, but it's absolutely not. There's plenty of science behind this opposition to transing our kids.
Yeah. If I was an atheist, I would be just as adamantly against this cruelty to children and this grotesque abuse of children that's taking place through this whole transgender, quote unquote, process of distorting their gender. It's very tragic. I predict it's going to continue to spread. It's like wildfire across the country. Our public schools are pushing it in particular. A lot of kids are getting it on TikTok and on the internet. But I believe it's only a matter of time before the stats and the evidence becomes so compelling and so overwhelming that we begin to backpedal on this as a society. Some say I'm overly optimistic, but I'd like to think that people can only turn off their brains so much and ignore the truth and the facts as it plays out, and it's playing out, unfortunately, very tragically.